Hello everyone, and now welcome to a game. This game is going to be between XiaoShi and FpXy, human versus undead, taking place here on Autumn Leaves. I don't know what else I can say about a human versus undead matchup that I have not said in, well, all the other human versus undead matchups that I've played or I've cast before. So let's just go ahead and get to the 2-minute mark and get this game underway. Hero will be an Archmage going up against a Lich first. So it will be a battle of the brains here, opening things up. And what that will allow, well, the undead to do is perhaps try and get that Dark Ritual second. That Frost Nova, much more powerful of a nuking ability early on in the game. Also adding in the added utility of a ranged hero, even though you do lose a bit of healing. But, well, that's what that sacrificial or ritual dagger was for, to try and get some healing off of those, that rod of necromancy charges and those skeletal minions. Lich already on the move out here off to the north here. Meanwhile, Archmage did a good job trying to clear out the remainder of this creep camp. It looks like that water elemental will get taken down. I'm thinking that FpXy wanted to hold on to that water elemental, perhaps shift down to the south side here and try to get one more easy kill. Meanwhile, Lich has, as you guys saw earlier, sold that Scroll of Town Portal and is now looking to do an expansion. This expansion is that forward expansion. We've seen this played in the past on the original Autumn Leaves, not as much on the 2.0 version, where you are actually expanding towards your opponent. And by expanding towards your opponent, you have a little bit of a forward outpost, but that outpost is often pressured and attacked. With that said, early Lich here, this could spell a little bit of problems, as the Death Knight normally adds a little bit more longevity early on. All right, units are looking to retreat back here. There's a little bit of damage. Lich could turn back around, perhaps drop a land of Frost Nova. The Ghoul is going to end up taking a little bit of damage there. And what ended up happening, it looks as though that Lich is still sitting at level 1, unable to do any dark rituals or anything like that. All right, in comes an engagement, going to try and get some damage here. This could potentially be some bad news. One low hit point Ghoul going to get taken down. Frost Nova onto the Archmage, as both sides are fighting their way through already. Militia trying to clear out the remainder of this creep camp here. Meanwhile, are we going to see a little bit of damage? Trying to just get to level 2 would be absolutely key, as we're going to see a big Frost Nova go down here, perhaps taking down that one water elemental. Level 2 now onto that Lich. Lich trying to back away. A lot of damage still getting racked up here, as the Ghouls are now continuing to try and swarm down this Archmage here. Meanwhile, Lich is continuing to back away as 2 footmen are continuing to give chase. This 44 hit point water elemental is just absolutely frustrating me, as XiaoShi could have removed a lot of the damage output because of that one water elemental there. Meanwhile, Rod of Necromancy, we are looking at one Nerubian Tower. That's going to cause a little bit of slow damage on those 2 units there. Are we going to see that last bit of damage finish off that Footman? Footman needs one more shot. It will get taken down. A follow-up Frost Nova could perhaps spell some problems. Back across here, Lich has some ideas of trying to blast at that Archmage. Archmage is low on hit points, as we see a Tome of Strength getting picked up by that Archmage there. That Archmage does have a bit of hit points left, and those water elementals should be quite beefy. Archmage now needs to get a little bit of distance here, as we see the 2 water elementals absolutely ignoring the Lich. What is the Lich doing here? Getting some additional skeletal minions to perhaps try and finish off these peasants. Meanwhile, this haunted gold mine has just started to get haunted, as we are looking at more Ghouls from XiaoShi just trying to swarm over his opponent. Ghouls are actually now coming across to try and put pressure onto the main base as well, as this battle is just simply all over the place right now. Both sides going to try and engage. A beautiful split between those attacks there, going from one to another, trying to rack up damage onto both of those units so that they are both slowed. Ghouls, meanwhile, back on Blight, trying to just rotate those Ghouls so that they are getting their hit points. As we can see, this one water elemental still trying to finish off a couple more Ghouls here, as another peasant gets taken down. All right. Archmage now about to try and transfer back across over here. We can see the Forest Troll Warlord perhaps going to get some damage. There's an easy kill onto that Footman right there. That's going to end up getting denied by the creeps, I believe, as the Water Elementals and Footmen are now putting pressure onto the Haunted Gold Mine. a little bit of missed opportunities for some bonus experience, as we're looking at a little bit more damage coming back across here. Perhaps a Frost Nova, yeah, trying to slow down but much of that damage. The Acolytes could join in on the battle as well. There goes one. Another Footman could get taken down here. Are we going to see a cancellation? Are we going to see a repair? No, there it is actually destroyed. No repairs there, as the Water Elemental now looking to engage against this Lich. Lich could have been level 3 already. We'll get to level 3 right here. That's actually rightfully scary, as we see a Dark Ritual used. The Archmage realizes he doesn't have long for this world. It needs to back away, as we see a big heal across there. No tech to tier 2 as of yet. 35 over 40 supply, as FpX, or the human player, now being forced to retreat back, needing an arcane vault, and using that Forest Troll Shadow Priest that it picked up from this mercenary camp, while also aggroing a bunch of units. Nice TP for the Archmage, saving all right, continuing to fight its way back here. Are we going to see a little bit of damage? Ghoul is trying to finish off a Footman. There goes one Footman here. Our Lich, well, is going to actually get engaged here and then lose a bit of healing from that ritual, as we are looking at the Forest Troll Shadow Priest still causing a bit of healing again. However, the Ghouls and the Skeletal Minions should be able to finish off that Forest Troll Shadow Priest. The Lich now trying to back away. Archmage does have Boots of Speed. We will be able to catch up to that Lich fairly easily, as both sides are still fighting their way through. All right, there's some more Skeletal Minions. All right, we're going to see a Dark Ritual right there, as now down to 37 hit points. Are we going to perhaps see a Frost Nova go down? There's a Frost Nova, and there's a slow there. Footman trying to finish it off. Lich down to 6 hit points. Fireball will finally land, finishing off that level 3 Lich. Forest Troll Shadow Priest is going to be able to stay alive. No, it is not. Meanwhile, the Arcane Tower finally taken down there. Both sides coming out of this early game very much battered, bruised, and bloody, as we can see this Haunted Gold Mine about to be completed. All right, only one Nerubian Tower here. There is that Lich getting resurrected at the tavern. All right, that Ghoul about to get taken down needs to head back onto Blight, but the Archmage is already running it down and will finish it off. Level 4 now on that Archmage. Level 2 Water Elementals with level 2 Brilliance Aura for a lot of, well, a lot of quick damage. Meanwhile, Archmage could try and put in some pressure here as well, but simply a swarm of ghouls will easily take care of this. Both sides running up on 2 bases with full saturation, but how we got there is a completely different story. Coming back around, Archmage still needs to find a way to heal. Does have an Arcane Vault back at home. Doesn't have an Arcane Vault set up at the Expo. The Expo here, this forward outpost, has been heavily engaged, as we've been seeing here, as we're looking at more Skeletal Minions just joining out. Lich about halfway to level 4 now. Going to take a little bit more to get there, but is going to pick up Gloves of Haste. All right, there's that last unit there once more, swarming with a bunch of ghouls. And, well, a human just responding by swarming with a bunch of footmen. Now, what I'm waiting for is this transition to tier 2. We can see that we are already at Keep and nearing Halls of the Dead. From there, we should see a lot less ghouls and footmen. And then, well, the unit choices are going to really dictate the pacing of the rest of the game. If we see a lot of arcane towers, or if we see a blacksmith and workshop, and that would lead towards knights and flying machines. Arcane Sanctum, meaning priest and spellbreakers, but so far nothing like that as of yet. So far, and in addition, okay, not quite sure what that was. Sitting at 33 over 70 supply, getting up a second crypt. So not quite sure what's going on here, but meanwhile, a giant drop inside the base here. We are looking at a Goblin Tinker as that second unit. Footman going to get taken down here. Lich continuing the fight as both sides still fighting their way through. Is the Lich going to be able to get enough damage? Looks like one Ghoul is going to get taken down, perhaps trying to take down this Haunted Gold Mine. Haunted Gold Mine not getting pressured whatsoever, but the Goblin Zeppelin is still there. Footman could end up getting taken down. It looks as though the Spirit Tower is about to be completed, and the Footman is going to end up falling here. All right, Dark Ritual trying to save a little bit more here. Water Elementals, dual Spirit Towers, more than enough to put in pressure as the Pocket Factory now finally placed down, but that's going to get easily cleaned up by those Spirit Towers as well. All right, Nerubian Towers, Spirit Towers, all engaging here. This is pretty much, a futile effort to try and do any serious damage with this many towers inside of the base. Perhaps we're going to see more damage get racked up here. All right, Goblin Zeppelin takes a little bit of well, fleeing away damage as well. Spirit Towers dealing that piercing damage against this light armored Goblin Zeppelin. We may see a similar strategy here as well. We don't see, well, enough towers here, so this may actually work better in the main base. Goblin Zeppelin going to try and drop here. Goblin Water Elemental is right there. There is that Goblin Tinker going to drop a Pocket Factory, and the Death Knight is out here onto the battlefield. All right, units are going to try and retreat back here. One Spirit Tower already looking to be upgraded here. Death Knight looking to perhaps finish off this Goblin Tinker. Lich is also making its way down here as the Archmage trying to put in a bit of pressure as well. All right, how much damage can you really rack up here? Lich is trying to get some Frost Nova damage onto the Archmage. Archmage Spirit Tower is a little bit slow. Finally going to finish off that Pocket Factory and perhaps finish off this Water Elemental as well. Death Knight getting in a little bit of damage here. Archmage trying to rack up more damage still. Look at that Acolyte trying to back away. Death Coil, and Archmage saves himself at barely 15-20 hit points. And Death Coil, Frost Nova, just not enough. One more auto attack from the Lich would have been that finishing blow, but no, able to go ahead and hide inside. All right, we can see one Gargoyle is over the air here looking perhaps for that Goblin Zeppelin, but the Zeppelin has already left. Coming back around, we can see that there is some easy creep camps to clear up. Death Knight going to head over here, making sure to not accidentally wake up the creeps with all of these ghouls. Death Knight will stay at level 1. Lich will stay at level 4 as we are going into, well, we see a Blacksmith. We are getting up an Arcane Vault at the Expo, and we are at Castle going into Knights. What we don't see, however, is any flying machines so far, even though we are at Black Citadel, but this Slaughterhouse is a bit late. It is going to be a delay on Obsidian statues and eventual destroyers as well. Those Knights should be powerful for quite some time. Having that additional hit points, having that high armor really helps out as priests are finally joining in on the fight here to try and heal up the heroes who have been, well, taking an absolute beating so far. Goblin Tinker does have a Tome of Retraining. Not quite sure what that's for. Perhaps going to trade with the Archmage here in a little bit. Potion of Greater Mana should be picked up by the Goblin Tinker as well as, well, we see a Goblin Tinker as a third hero coming across from the undead. A very unorthodox strategy so far as both sides are still fighting their way through. Lich does have that Orb of Corruption, perhaps going to try and finish off some of these units. Obsidian statues need to continue to join in on the battle here and perhaps follow. Oh, is that a second? Wait. No, yeah, that's a second Slaughterhouse. All right, I take it back. That Slaughterhouse wasn't that delayed. The second Slaughterhouse being built inside the main base was a little bit delayed, but now we may be able to see perhaps, well, Destroyer form while training up those Obsidian statues all at the same time. Coming back around, Enraged Wildkin and Death Knight sitting nearly at level 2. Lich is going to try and engage here. Death Knight will get to level 2. Goblin Tinker, I believe, will stay at level 1. Just simply too many heroes out on the battlefield. Meanwhile, Paladin is that third and final hero coming across as we see a Legion of Doomhorn for faster mobility coming in from FpXy. Tome of Retraining now going into rockets over the Pocket Factory. So it is going to be quite a bit of stunning maneuvers by FpXy. We've seen the Goblin Tinker become a much more popular with those rocket stuns since it just seemingly is just able to rain down that damage. Couple that with the Archmage's Blizzard, and suddenly, if you're able to get off one Blizzard round and then another round of that stun, it's 3 to 4 rounds of Blizzard, perhaps even more, that racks up even more damage. All right, Gargoyles really focusing down onto those lower hit point priests. We're going to see a little bit of stun right there, both sides with rocket stuns galore. Did Human scout the Gargoyles? Well, Human knows about them now. All right, so plenty of Gargoyles in the air right now. Are we going to perhaps see a transition into flying machines? No, we are actually looking into a transition into siege engines with Barrage. Barrage, a very powerful ability on those siege engines, able to, well, attack air with a bit of splash damage. Meanwhile, the Gargoyles themselves are only dealing piercing damage against fortified armor that just doesn't translate well in terms of overall damage. Gloves of Haste now picked up by the Death Knight. You can see the Death Knight also having a Sobi mask better hit point regeneration, better mana regeneration, and then add in the health stone regeneration as well on top of the unholy aura, and that Death Knight, well, should be fairly difficult to finish off. Meanwhile, Human is doing a great job just continuing to try and, well, clear out the difficult creep camps, and it looks as though, oh, XiaoShi is not going to, well, actually going to try to come in from behind, finds a priest, going to take down one priest, going to go ahead and try and take down another priest as well. Those priests are just getting cleaned up easily, and now what is going to end up happening here? All right, both sides fighting. There's some stuns going down across all of those units. Units are still trying to retreat back here. Gargoyles perhaps going to be able to take down one of these units as we see a bit of stun going down onto those gargoyles again. So many units just stacked, or so many hit point bars just stacked on top of each other. Meanwhile, Death Knight trying to retreat back away, does have a scroll of healing, could try and use that, does use that scroll of does use a potion, or the health stone, as the Goblin Tinker of FpXy could now be in trouble. Potion of Lesser Invulnerability used right there. Another round of stun plus Holy Light going to keep things alive and going, as we can see this expansion off to the north nearly was going to be operational, but, well, kind of rotated and ended up getting scouted down. All right, Scroll of Healing being used there. Another Frost Nova going down. It looks as though we could see the death of a knight right there. Yes, death of a knight, but not by the Death Knight, as the Death Knight now looks to retreat back again. All right, there's a quick cancellation here, as we're still looking at a big engagement across the board. A Death Knight just shy of level 3. Are we going to see an Obsidian Statue fall? No, we are not. More stuns heading back around. Goblin Tinker of FpXy, not quite sure where to go. Staff of Sanctuary for the save, as this Obsidian Statue is dangerously low on hit points and gets a finish off. Destroyer now going to try and engage here. We see no more Obsidian Statues here. This is actually an important call here, as we are now looking at the siege engines with Barrage. They're rolling on in, and this could spell some major problems. Without any meat wagons, you can see that Barrage damage just going to go ahead and try and chase after all of those units, as peasants are going to get taken out. You can see all of that Barrage 19 to 22 decent damage after all of those units here. All right, Death Knight trying to go after the Paladin. Paladin uses that Divine Shield in a time to try and stay alive. Meanwhile, the barrage from the siege engines is going to take down many of these gargoyles here, as we see massive stuns across the board. All right, XiaoShi now getting to level 3 on his Goblin Tinker. We may see even more stuns, as well as this stunning matchup literally between the two level 3 Goblin Tinkers could spell some major problems. All right, there's a Death Coil. There's some more stun. The Death Knight kills the Paladin first, as the barraging siege engines are trying to find targets to go after all of these other units. Archmage now trying to retreat back. Are we going to see some more damage onto that Knight? Knight now escaping back at some odd hit points. All right, so perhaps some Devour Magic. Goblin Tinker now making its way over. Lich sitting at level 5, but remember, these siege engines are immune to spell damage from the Lich and from that Death Knight. On top of this, we are looking at the Gargoyles also suffering quite a bit of damage here, as we're looking at the guard tower about to get taken down. More stunning coming across from the Tinker here, as the siege engines are just constantly finding targets to try and destroy. All right, one Frostworm about to try and retreat here. 3-0 upgrades, needs to fall back. 77 supply compared to 60 over 78, as the siege engines rolling down south. We are looking at nearly 3 bases of operation for Human. This outpost, fully upgraded towers, level 3 masonry upgrades, as the main gold mines are about to run out. All right, odd exchange so far by everything. 61 over 90 supply by Human. Meanwhile, 80 over 80. But where is the majority of this army? That's what I'm looking for. Frostworm 3-0 upgrades. Gargoyles not going to be that effective due to the just siege engine barrage. Are they just going to find another target? Wow, simply flying by, almost getting shot down there, as flying machines are going to be coming across here as well. All right, Sasquatch going to get taken down. Flying machines going after the gargoyles, and this is not going to be a good sight for this army. All right, Stunning trying to take down those units again. Frostworms, are they going to be able to finish off these units? It looks as though the Death Knight could be in trouble. Scroll of Healing, Potion of Invulnerability used there. Flying machines, well, just causing so much damage, and this is just, I can't explain all of this. Flying Machine's about to take down a couple more Gargoyles and Frostworms. Meanwhile, Death Knight trying to dance around in the back here. Archmage is in trouble. Archmage gets Staff of Sanctuary at 22 hit points. Death Knight going after the Paladin. Paladin uses a Divine Shield. Death Knight still trying to make its way back over. Divine Shield going to last quite a bit as the Goblin Tinker still trying to chase here. Goblin Tinker is going to be in a little bit of trouble. That Frostworm is applying a bit of slow damage, and now it ends up getting taken down. Switching back things around here, the Siege Engine perhaps now trying to go after the Frostworm, but the remainder army is now gone as the Death Knight gets up to level 4. Perhaps the Frostworm can apply a chilling slow blast onto the Siege Engine, and then with that chilling slow blast here, it's going to slow things down. Death Knight has plenty of mana with a couple of Obsidian statues, should be able to heal up once more as the Goblin Tinker's stun actually works against those Siege Engines, and so they, and as that, well, it affects mechanical units. Both sides still fighting their way through as the guard towers are now starting to poke apart some of these other ground units as well. There goes another Siege Engine. Level 5, level 4 going up against 5-3-3, but the Goblin Tinker for human is currently knocked out. Obsidian Statue trying to retreat back is going to go ahead and turn into a destroyer, but it needs to devour magic or do something besides just get splashed down by that water elemental. More damage still getting racked up here. Goblin Tinker still needs a little bit more mana. There's a Death Coil onto the Lich. Lich is not affected by the Orb of Fire as the Paladin didn't get the attack off recently. Both sides still fighting their way through. 71 over 90 supply of Flying Machine finishing off a Frostworm here as the Goblin Tinker is still trying to get in plenty of stuns. And well, Death Knight now trying to retreat back. Paladin trying to retreat here as the Paladin able to cause a bit of stoppage on that Obsidian statue. All right, down to the south side, we can see a scout tower ready to upgrade if Undead tries to take that expansion location. Meanwhile, fly machines are coming back around. We can see Paladin has fallen at level 3 as the fly machines are just going to go ahead and try to take down all the gargoyles, but the fly machines, many of them got temporarily stunned down by the Goblin Tinker. All right, it looks as though the gargoyles are going to end up losing that fight as there's just simply too many fly machines, but now the Lich with Death and Decay could easily just take down some of these buildings. Are we going to see a fly machine fall? No, we are not. Down to 3 hit points, even with that negative armor, able to stick around ever so barely. All right, there goes another water elemental taken down. A Death Knight sitting at level 4. More units are just still falling. 54 supply compared to 53 as the Acolyte is attempting to take down this peasant here. Meanwhile, Scout Tower is upgrading to a guard tower. Fly machines going straight after that. Frostworm here. Fly machines do not have the ground attack upgrade. Meanwhile, the Abomination does have Disease Cloud, so we'll be able to spread disease across all of these peasants here. Death Knight now coming back around on the other side. Fly machines want to finish off this Frostworm as we see that a little bit of slow damage there. Stunning going down. Are we going to see the Archmage fall? No, Archmage ends up using a Scroll of Town Portal in time, and the Fly machines finish off that Frostworm again. All of the units here, though, are going to end up getting cleaned up as there is enough ghouls to finish off this town hall. 50 over 90 supply as the Acolytes are trying to finish off this here. All right, this is going to be pretty interesting. We can see the guard tower is going to be shooting back at these Acolytes, and as off to the north, the ghoul is going to try to finish off this town hall. Blight will not be in time to help these Acolytes. Are we seeing any repairs? No, we are not. The Acolytes are just trying to lay waste to that guard tower there. Now, going after that haunted gold mine instead, going to end up keeping some of the peasants alive as this base will end up getting shut down. All right. That is going to end up getting taken down. One more shot should do it. It gets taken down. Now going after the other scout tower. Remember, these scout towers have a bit more armor and a bit more hit points than their non-upgraded variety. Lich backing away, sitting at level 6. Death Knight is at 4. Goblin Tinker is at 4. And they're both going to be very close to level 5 when all of this is said and done. All right, Haunted Goldmine taking quite a bit of damage here. Perhaps the Acolytes should try and repair here in just a second. There, no repairs are inbound, but with that fortified armor, it may just still be enough. Meanwhile, back off to the north, Archmage going to go ahead and try and, well, summon up some more water elementals, cause some problems. Flying machines have nothing to attack. Goblin Tinker, Staff of Sanctuary is saved by the Archmage. Archmage now gets up to level 6. He's trying to back away as we see some big Frost Novas finishing or trying to finish off a couple of those casters in the back. Paladin comes in with the Holy Light. There's a mass teleport. Are we going to see a stun? No, we are not. But some of the flying machines didn't get the memo that they need to leave. But there's just simply too much slow across this undead army. Acolytes down to the south here are able to repair up this haunted gold mine. Undead will be running up on 2 bases. All right, this game has pretty much gone, well, this game has pretty much taken away my voice. We're 25 minutes into this game with no clear winner yet. Human now looking to transition away from flying machines and perhaps go into griffins, as he already has the animal war training upgrades. And well, that's currently it, just animal war training upgrades. Now, what are we looking at here? Mass teleport inbound. All of these acolytes are just going to get easily cleaned up here, stunning down this haunted gold mine, as a brilliance aura is going to be really helping out that goblin tinker be able to just continually cast that rocket burst damage. Coming back around on the other side, well, obsidian statues need to top off the mana as well. Lich could also come with death and decay and really take down all of these buildings suddenly, shutting and then just start to try and trade against buildings efficiently. You can take a look here. Fly machines still do not have that, don't have any bombing whatsoever. Does the Lich have death and decay? It does, and there it goes. Going to go ahead and get death and decay off on all of these buildings. The town hall will end up getting taken down here. Are we perhaps going to see a little bit of stunning damage onto some of these buildings right there, trying to finish off all of these buildings first? Remember, death and decay is a percentage based damage, which means that, well, all of these buildings could easily get taken down. Wow, the town hall ends up getting saved at barely any hit points here. Are we going to see a round of rockets just laying waste to the town hall, as the goblin tinker just needs one more to finish off more peasants? All right, big damage across the board. Goblin tinker now sitting at level 5, as this town hall was destroyed and perhaps not worth trying to rebuild. Undead still has 1,000 gold that he can easily mine out of this base here. Meanwhile, the Lich's death and decay will take a little bit of time to reset again. Flying machines now making their way over. We can see a couple of Crypt Fiends are down here onto the battlefield. They will be able to web down, as well as the Crypt Fiends do need to back away. Yeah, a poor peasant right there just ending up taking a little bit too much damage as well. Unit trying to retreat back here. 3 heroes. Death Knight cannot heal that Goblin Tinker, so the Goblin Tinker does have some survivability items. As we can see, the Lich does also have dual Gloves of Haste for that faster attack speed. All right, Flying Machines, Archmage looking to engage here, perhaps take down a Crypt Fiend. There's a quick stun, Holy Light blasting it down. Goblin Tinker, well, Goblin Tinker getting up to level 4. Coming back around, we're still looking at more damage getting racked up here. Death Knight could try and finish off some more of these units. Still surprised that there's no web to try and take down some of these Griffin Riders, as the Abomination will be forced to try and retreat back. Come on, just web that down. Nope, no web. All right, so the Crypt Fiends finally have web. Gonna go ahead and finish off this one Griffin there. Meanwhile, down to the south side, this could turn into a base race scenario. Archmage trying to go ahead and finish off some of these buildings. Scroll of Town Portal coming back to the other side here. Are we going to see a mass teleport? No, we are not. Archmage now trying to back away. A couple of webs onto the Griffin Riders, and this is going to get taken down again. No rockets to stun down the Archmage, as the Archmage able to back away. Meanwhile, a lone knight clearing up this ghoul off on the side here. That knight with Sundering Blades. Well, that paladin that knight just holding off on this side, trying to make sure that this expansion stays stays undeveloped. Goblin Tinker looking to finish off some more buildings here. Abomination making their way across. 54 supply compared to 50. Both sides pretty even. You can see the continual rockets just being placed down here. Lich's death and decay is operational again. So going after these buildings, is very, very dangerous. That Lich going after high hit point buildings, that death and decay ends up dealing more damage per second, since it is percentage based, and that 3200 building that looks so strong could end up just being laid to waste by a Lich's death and decay, and for over 15 seconds. Coming back around, where is the Archmage? Archmage mass teleported back inside the base. Ultimate ability of the Archmage, able to move around the map quickly, as we see the Flying Machines now with ground attacks. What is this follow-up play going to be? Both sides looking for windows of opportunity to really take down the other person's buildings. We can see a little bit more gold trying to get picked up, trying to clear out these creep camps. Incredibly important, as the Lich Death Knight and Goblin Tinker are sitting at 655, going up against a 643. I am surprised that Human isn't trying to gain a little bit of experience elsewhere. Getting a little bit of experience would make up for that hero level advantage. All right, Dire Frostwolf is going to end up getting taken down. There goes another one there. Granite Golem will get cleaned up pretty easily as well. Orb of Corruption removing some of its armor. And, well, Cloak of Flames now going to perhaps get picked up by that Goblin Tinker. Yeah. And so far, no hit and run tactics from the Archmage either. But one thing to note, I believe Mass Teleport, I believe, actually has a maximum number of units that it can teleport, or at least it did at one point. Normally, that's not a problem for human players, as human players, even if they do have some small supply units, isn't that many. But what we're seeing here is a lot of flying machines. So a lot of one supply units, we may actually reach that maximum number, and the Archmage may not be able to teleport effectively all across the map here. Or is that Archmage going to actually walk away too quickly? All right, so Archmage mass teleports down to the south side here, finishes things off, but the Paladin and the Goblin Tinker are now a bit too far away. This should give a prime opportunity for Undead to clear out more buildings as well, but he is not using that time to do so. Mass teleport cooldown has come back, has finished once more, but there was a window of opportunity for the Lich to just clear out more buildings, but instead going to be trying to go after the Archmage. All right. In comes mass teleport. Obsidian statue going to get, this water elemental gonna end up getting destroyed here. Perhaps gonna try and clear up a little bit more creep camps as well. Cloak of Flames dealing a bit of damage off to the side. So Undead still getting a little bit of gold, going after the remaining creep camps on the map. Gonna pick up a Slippers of Agility. That Lich now with, a little bit of additional armor, still making its rounds. All right, Sentry Ward off to the north here. Buildings not getting cleared up. Acolytes not even trying to, build up another building just quite yet, or trying to summon up another building. We could perhaps see some unsummoning as well. So if we unsummon some of these buildings, he could build up a larger force here and then try and do a very large push. But then he'll have to deal with the Archmage, Paladin, and Goblin Tinker, who are able to deal fair amounts of damage. Water Elemental still looking to back away. 33 minutes into this game, still no clear-cut winner, as, both sides just want to make sure that they're not the ones to make a mistake. All right, in comes a stun there. Death Knight, trying to get in front of the Paladin. Is he going to be able to do exactly that? Perhaps get a Frost Nova onto that Paladin as well? Or are we going to see a Staff of Sanctuary coming across? There's a Staff of Sanctuary bringing that Paladin all the way back home inside. There's a Goblin Tinker rocket barrage again, as all we really need to see that Lich do is just death and decay right there, and you can see how much damage this castle is absorbing. All right, the Goblin Tinker is trying to make its way back over, and it is going to end up getting stunned. This Goblin Tinker should have been off to the north. There should have been a further, much more forward engagement here to try and block that Goblin Tinker's ability. Now we still have about another 2-minute delay before we can use another round of death and decay. You need to use your ultimate very effectively and punish that Goblin Tinker. If the Goblin Tinker was going to try and get that rocket barrage down, have the Death Knight, have some Crypt Fiends actually do a bit of damage back and forth. All right, more rocket barrages here. Both sides just constantly hitting each other. Obsidian statues, still with plenty of mana, should be able to heal this up without a problem. All right, more rockets going to go ahead and take down some farms. So rocket barraging to destroy each other's farms here. Crypt Fiends actually engaging against the workshop just a little bit of damage just over time here. As we see down to the south, the Knight has still been patrolling that spot and been able to shut it down here. Ghoul is going to go ahead and finish off the Griffin Aviary back inside, as the Obsidian statues, are going to slowly get drained by the sheer amount of rocket damage from that Goblin Tinker. Goblin Tinker at level 5. Are we going to go ahead and split up just a little bit? Perhaps some more damage onto the barracks. Now there's a big Frost Nova onto that Arcane Sanctum. Death Knight down to the south side here as well. Both sides can just get in some attacks, perhaps take down some of these buildings slowly but surely. All right, little bit of rocket damage onto the obsidian statues. Obsidian statues, well, actually heal the slowest out of everything here, so makes sense to try and go after that as the Goblin Tinker, well, now only has a Staff of Sanctuary. Not, yeah, it looks like the overlay crashed. Not quite sure what happened there. All right, both sides fighting their way through, continuing to poke around. Let me see. Can I fix this overlay? All right. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Coming back around here, Death Coil straight up onto the, Goblin Tinker. Tinker taking a little bit more damage. There's some more rocket damage across all of those units. But remember, we still have plenty of Obsidian statues and mana here to go back and forth. Holy Light and, well, Archmage with Brilliance Aura still fighting their way through. Goblin Tinker, or the Lich, not going to be able to get off another Death and Decay for about another minute, I believe, as the units are looking to try and retreat back. Goblin Tinker still has plenty of mana. Yeah, if the Lich had actually come in from the south side here, there you are, from the south side, making it difficult for the Goblin Tinker to actually try and push through, get within range of this Lich, and, well, this castle will just be destroyed. Damage onto the guard tower as well. In addition to the Altar of Kings, in comes another round. More rockets just barraging and death and decay. I've never seen a siege quite like this, so effective with death and decay and those rockets. Mass teleport, however, where did they teleport off to? And this is the game. All right. Island Outpost to try and clean things up. It looks as the guard towers are going to get cleaned up here. The last couple of remaining buildings, but there is going to be, well, Sorceress, I kind of throw the game. FpXy, however, now has cannon towers in the corner with siege engines as anti-air, and that could potentially be a problem. Undead have Acolyte and make a base. I wish, well, there's an Acolyte there, but is it going to find, no, it's going to run straight into this knight again. It's going to run into this knight. What is it doing? She really needed to hold on to these knights or those acolytes and make sure it didn't lose them. Acolyte off to the top left could try and summon up and haunt another gold mine here. Meanwhile, this base outpost on the top right-hand side of the map is still holding steady. Scroll of Town Portal, is it on? Yep, it is on the Death Knight, so they are going to be able to teleport wherever they need to, and now they just can clean up the remainder of this one night here and perhaps haunt a gold mine. Flying machines are out and about, and remember, they do also have that bombardment, so they are able to deal quite a bit of damage. All right, how is this all going to go down here? If the undead is silly enough to try and buy a Goblin Zeppelin and try and take this island outpost, well, that could be the quickest death of 3 heroes that I've ever seen in my years of casting WarCraft 3. However, this game could ghouls down to the south here. Are they going to try and engage against this knight? We could see a mass teleport into this position, which would actually be fairly funny, as FpXy now trying to retreat back with that knight. All right. Knight just going to hide off over here. Acolyte going to try and haunt there. 51 over 80 supply. Well, could unsummon a couple of these buildings as well. Nope, going to repair an Arubian Tower. All right. Not quite sure how to describe the rest of this game. Human actually has a fairly large base here, so not quite sure what to, or a decent outpost here. Has some arcane towers, has some fortified cannon towers. Very difficult to take out, and, well, they're just wandering around. The flying machines may have enough barrage to actually take down some of these buildings. Meanwhile, the ghouls are trying to look for where their opponents possibly are. Fly machines are down to the south side here. Are they going to rotate back off to the north, perhaps be able to scout this all out? And that could be the problem. All of these island expansions, which allow players to just turtle up and outlast their opponent. Actually, if you like meat wagon your way through, can you attack from here to here? That is the only question. And then you could have the crypt fiends like just web down the flying machines, right? That might actually be a potential play. All right. One lone knight now heading off to the north here. It looks as though this acolyte will end up getting taken out. Sundering blades dealing nearly 60 damage per swipe. As the Lich now makes its way back off to the north side here. Acolyte, well, trying to retreat back here. Death Knight perhaps should have been the one to try and give chase. Death Knight with Unholy Aura should be able to close in on that distance. All right, Lich continuing to fight back across there. There's some negative damage. Acolyte still mining away here. This base has been unsummoned. Mass teleport. Oh, inbound army. That's going to be a problem. Lich now needs to get away. There's a holy light. Lich is in trouble. Down, going to get stunned. And Lich now looking to back up here. Still a major, decent-sized army. Lich could be in trouble here. And you cannot have the hero by his lonesome self. Paladin finishes it off at level 4. FpXy still with a decent-sized army here. Going to go ahead and try and engage, taking down some of the army here. Goblin Tinker and Death Knight show up to the party. He's throwing down rockets as well. Flying machines now continuing to bombard as the Archmage could easily mass teleport to try and get away. Goblin Tinker has no easy ways of getting healing. Abomination now trying to make its way back over. Crypt Fiend's going to continue to web down all of these targets here as we're seeing more and more, well, rockets just being launched from both sides. AoE damage, AoE stun coming across from both sides as we see a Staff of Sanctuary being brought across as well. All right, both sides still trying to fight their way through. Archmage still has plenty of mana to try and teleport out. Death Knight perhaps going to try and retreat back down to 166 hit points. There's a Holy Light, and now the Death Knight is in some serious trouble. Paladin with a Holy Light could finish off the Death Knight here. There's a Death Coil. He launches it, falls to the Paladin, and then the Paladin puts up a Divine Shield. All right, this last moment here, XiaoShi looks like he is going to be in trouble. FpXy, well, looking to finish off everything here. Holy Light, so much damage. A slow Goblin Tinker falls. And FpXy, capitalizing on the mistake of XiaoShi, is going to end up getting the win here as this, well, all of these units are going to end up falling. XiaoShi with a much, much higher hero level advantage just could not deal with the outpost on that island. Mass teleport, a Lich was caught by itself, and in the end, well, FPX came away with the win. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.